It's a lot of response, really, to what we get bombarded with and how we're portrayed. Some people say, you know, the Cornish film is all about, it's always concerned about Cornwall's identity and culture, but it's kind of inevitable because it is a response to how we're portrayed.
The recent increase of films made in Cornwall, thanks to European funding and new cheap digital media, has allowed a Cornish national cinema to grow and in doing so highlight Cornwall's culture. Through what appears to be a natural process, Cornwall's filmmaking community are producing short film and feature-length works with characters and themes celebrating the idea of Cornishness.
Which would you say were the quintessential Cornish films?
I mean, in terms of the feature-length films, obviously the stuff that Mark Jenkins done, so The Rabbit and Golden Burn, I think are really clever and entertaining snapshot of what's going on in Cornwall today. And The Wrecking Season as well, Nick and Jane Dark's film. I mean, that's a fantastic study of Cornwall and where we are now, and in terms of our relationship with the coast. So there are films like that feel like they're absolutely capturing what the experience of being in Cornwall is like.
I'm Jane Dark, and I, along with my husband Nick Dark, made the film The Wrecking Season. I directed it, he wrote and narrated it. I kind of fell into directing through Nick. Nick was a playwright. He died 2 years ago, cancer.
Coffin, Morgan Porth, Penhale, Fistral, Holywell, Boobies Bay. I checked them all and they were all clean. Nothing on them.
I've always felt that The Wrecking Season is basically about the communities around the Atlantic fringe, that what's great about it is it doesn't attach Cornwall to England at all. It connects it to fishermen on the other side of the Atlantic, and shows how basically they're the same, with the same problems to do with oil spills and pollution and fishing quotas and legislation from governments that don't really bear in mind what a community needs.
There's nothing more temporary than a calm sea around here. The trick is to use the ocean, whatever its state.
I was here until I was 18 and then went to college. And then from college then went to London for 5 years and worked up there as a promo producer and as an editor. And then while I was away I wrote a feature film script about my mates back home, and took 2 weeks holiday, came back and made that film in the 2 weeks that I had off. That was Golden Burn.
Right, everyone. Having fun, are we?
Great, thank you very much.
Yep. What are we burning here then, friends?
Perhaps a bit of beach litter and a bit of driftwood.
That makes a change, doesn't it?
Well, not really, actually.
What do you say, son?
Said you should fuck off.
Now, you all know it's illegal to have fires here on the beach. Now, I was going to be lenient, but I'm not prepared to stand here on my beach and be threatened by a holidaymaker.
I'm as much of a local as you are. So why don't you just fuck off and leave everyone alone?
With Golden Burn I kind of was a bit wary that maybe I'd made all the Cornish characters, or not even just the Cornish characters, but the local characters were the good guys and the outsiders were the bad guys. And I don't think it's quite that cut and dry, because the person you're supposed to kind of feel most empathy with in Golden Burn is an outsider who's moved down anyway.
Yeah.
But with The Rabbit, I did the same sort of thing, but I wanted to kind of be careful about what I was saying about who was good and who was bad. The Rabbit.
Ugly looking fucker, isn't he? He's not a fucker, he's a rabbit. Besides getting his ears clipped, hasn't he?
Ears clipped?
Yeah, it's like plastic surgery for rabbits. He's got low self-esteem. He's got to do an advert next week. What?
The rabbit on TV in the adverts. I see him.
Yeah, those two lads who were going around just getting stoned and trying to get off their heads all the time. And the fact they don't, they live near the sea, and for the first time in their life, they go, they're so bored, they go, should we go surfing? They're 18 years old, they've never considered it before, because they're fishing people. They're not, they're not beach people, they're the working, Cornish working class. They're not the middle class who go surfing or holidaymakers who come in, so they think, oh, we'll go surfing, and they go down there and go, yeah, it was shit.
Cowabunga, dude, let's go surfing! What do you reckon?
I reckon you look like a twat.
I think the films that work are films that are based in a very specific and distinct culture and yet have a universal message or story.
Okay.
And so I think you need both. You need to be able to appeal to a broad audience. Well, actually, I'll take that back. If you want to reach a mass audience, then you need a story that a lot of people are going to engage with. But what makes that really appealing is the fact that it is set specifically in Cornwall and it does capture the truth.
Can you get some fish for our guests?
Hey? We'd like some fresh fish.
Yeah, I told Alan was a fisherman.
Brilliant.
What does he catch?
Lobster. Would he sell us some? Season's over.
Might he have some other fish?
Yeah, you could go see him.
Where can they find him?
Down Port Skewers. And is that far?
It's recently that we've reached that point where it's all tourism. Before we had the fishing and the farming, and they all kind of coexisted, but now it is all tourism, and you've got the Eden Project and all this kind of stuff.
All this kind of feeding on Cornwall's image of being a slightly green, bit of a kind of mini California, do a bit of surfing, dude, that sort of image, which is an image of Cornwall from outside, and it's milking that image as much as possible. There's a lot of representations of Cornwall that emanate from the centre and not from Cornwall itself, and I don't think it's necessarily empowering for Cornish people, and I don't think we actually own that Cornwall any more than we own old unemployed Cornwall.
Everything in Cornwall is so much driven by the outward appearance we give in an attempt to attract more people in. So most people are told or directed to just follow this kind of party line that somebody's come up with, that we're this happy-go-lucky race or populace who now live off tourism, but in the past we were bloodthirsty savages. And what could be more attractive to a holidaymaker? Possibly the truth, but maybe not.
Cornish history has been buried, and it's great to put it out there so that children growing up now can see that they have a history, that they have a past, and that Cornwall is not a county.
And all those people who turn up in Cornwall because there's money here to speculate, like a bunch of gold diggers in the American West, bleed the place dry, and then they go because they've got no affinity to the place. And then all you have left is this manipulated populace who were promised the earth and have had the soul ripped out.
What about the houses on the cliff? Every single one of them empty. Can you afford to buy one of them? No. Can't afford to buy a house in your own fucking village. Just a fucking joke, man. We might as well just close down in the winter and then just hide in the summer. It's just a holiday park, man.
Coastal communities, second homes are a real problem, and you've got, that wouldn't be such a problem if you didn't put that in the context of the housing crisis that we've got in Cornwall. I mean, that's probably the biggest social problem facing Cornwall now, and Cornish people, especially young Cornish people, is the difficulty of buying a house. Because in the last 20 years, the Cornish house prices have risen faster than anywhere else in the UK.
A cinema of reaction? Is Cornwall simply trying to redress the balance? Are the motivations nothing more than a knee-jerk reaction to ageing stereotypes imposed by neighbouring England? One thing is certain, Cornwall's national cinema is taking shape and bringing clarity to its national identity.
I haven't got a Cornish accent because when I went to school, it was thought of the Cornish accent not being a very good thing to have. So you were kind of told not directly, but it was certainly coaxed out of you, Cornish accents. People are beginning to be proud of their Cornish accents again now. But when I was growing up, it was a thing to be ashamed of. And that's because of these depictions we have. If you want to have a stupid character in a TV programme, give them a Cornish accent. So what does that do to kids who are growing up? They sit down and watch good old respectable BBC, and they show somebody who's an idiot speaking the way they speak. So what do? They change the way they speak. And it's a beautiful accent. You don't get that with Geordies or Scottish or Irish. You know, they will defend their accent to the death because they're proud of it, because it's about where they're from. With us, it isn't like that.
Yeah, the interesting thing about accents is the rise of urban English accents and urban Scottish accents. So what you've got now is kind of stronger accents actually than you had 100 years ago, but a limited number of them. And what you've also had is a decline of rural accents. Cornish accent being rural is lost out in the same sense as a rural East Anglian accent is lost out as well. So it's kind of, I think it's a bigger process there, and also Cornwall's size militates against it.
On the north coast, you're always speaking into the wind. So the Cornish accent on the north coast is a much more clipped, short, fast, quick fire, because you get it out fast before it was carried away. Whereas on the south coast and down west, it's a bit more sort of slower. And
we need somebody for Cornish people to look up to, who's Cornish, who's got a Cornish accent, to start redressing that balance. So in my films, characters will have Cornish accents, and the cooler the character, then the stronger the fucking accent, as far as I'm concerned.